Brad Johnson, who we said had a great NFL career, 166 touchdowns, threw for over 29,000 yards, and joining us here on this Thursday morning. Brad, thank you for your time. Good morning.
Oh, good morning. I appreciate you having me on your show. Thank you.
Absolutely. We had a limited time to see Max out at spring practice, but by all accounts, with the news of Peter Parrish leaving the program, it looked like Max was the front runner for possibly to be the backup to Miles Brennan here in his first spring. Did you get an early read how Max was transitioning into college football coming out of high school just a semester ago?
Yeah, Max has really enjoyed. I mean, obviously being at LSU, early enrollee, and it was just it's awesome. He got to actually practice with him 4 or 5 times during the national championship run. Didn't get to do much, just more individual routes, but got to be in the meeting with Joe Burrow and be a part of what the team was getting ready for national championship, and then with the off-season program, the fourth quarters, the early morning drills with Coach Moffitt, and then I think they had 3 days of spring practice. So Max is off to a good start in school. Obviously, love being a part of football. It's been crazy how all this has happened, but I feel like Max is he's picked up on the playbook really quick, and it felt like he was excited about every day's practice and just kind of being part of that team and just trying to get better every day. So. I think the big this is uncharted waters with this with the virus that's taking place, and glad they made choice for everyone, and they shut down the NBA and shut down college basketball, and no telling where this thing is really headed. But you hate it for all those kids that are going through spring sports, and then obviously spring football, they're missing out. But Max is off to a really good start, I felt like, during spring football.
Yeah, it seemed like it. And talking to the coaching staff,
I love him.
Very high on Max, talking about his athleticism for sure. His recruiting was pretty highlighted. Obviously, Mark Richt being related and being his uncle and close to him at the time, close to him during the recruiting process, was kind of front page news. How involved were you during Max's recruitment?
It's crazy nowadays with recruiting, and it obviously started real early with Max, like in 9th grade. We obviously had a lot of connections with different schools and all those kind of things. But it was also hard at the same time. Coach Rick being, an uncle to Max and brother-in-law to me, and obviously we were well connected with Miami and Florida State and Georgia and all these schools throughout the whole country. It was a tough process to kind of go through. And but Max had to make that decision on himself, and just felt very comfortable with Coach O and Coach Ensminger and kind of where the program was headed. And obviously you saw a national championship last year, and it's a place. LSU's a place where it can reload every year. You're obviously trying to play for an SEC West title, and then hopefully make a run at the national championship. So he just felt comfortable with the process, felt comfortable with Coach O and all the directions and decisions that they would make throughout the test of, throughout the course of time, and just where he wanted to be, regardless of anything. So we're just excited for him as parents, and but the recruiting process was very, very. It's odd and tough to go through it now. I'm kind of getting ready to go through it with my other son Jake.
Yeah,
because he'll be a rising junior, so it's interesting to live through it twice.
Don't overthink it, Brad. LSU's starting to use the tight end. He'd fit in great because he looks like a man.
Well, okay, so that actually goes perfectly with what I wanted to ask you about. So, as you said, we are in unprecedented times. Guys are having to try to find ways to train at home. How nice is it for Max to have a legit D1 receiver to work out with? I saw the video on Jake's Twitter. It looks like they're putting it in.
Yeah, no, we get into time. As far as working out, I mean, we have a gym here at the house. We have a field kind of out in the back. We've kind of actually, honestly, improved. So, I mean, we got all day to work and do all those kind of things. But then, them being able to work together, it's fun. It's fun to watch them grow up as like little kids, second, third graders, and middle school kids, and then last year they actually got to play for a state championship, and just kind of watch them grow. Around the house, they're like, the cartoon Tom and Jerry. They fight with each other all stinking day. You feel like you're yelling at them all day still, like they're little kids. But when they get on the football field, it's work. That's what they do. They love getting better at it, and it's just fun to watch them, be together again and play.
That's cool, man. That is cool.
Brad, what's up, man? T-Bob here. So I'm kind of fanboying a bit over here because although I played O-line as a chubby little white kid, every now and then when my little league team would go to Wishbone, I'd get to play fullback. And so I developed quite the affinity for Mike Allstott. And then through that, I developed quite the affinity for that era of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I love those teams. I got to ask you some Bucs questions. We cool with that?
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, perfect. Who was on that defense that had so many badass players, right? Sapp, Barber, Brooks, all these guys.
Simeon Rice,
Lynch. Who was the most badass defender on that Tampa Bay Bucs team?
All of them, man. It was a war every day with John Gruden versus Monty Kiffin, the defense coordinator. It was war with Derek Brooks, Warren Sapp, John Lynch, and Simeon Rice. And I mean, there's and then there's you had Booger McFarland in there. There's defensive end Greg Spires, and a guy that never really gets talked about, honestly, ended up being our Mike linebacker, and that was Shelton Quarles.
Yes,
wow.
That's a great point.
I remember the very first day I was down there, we were working. I've always been a workout fiend and just loved it and all that kind of stuff. And we were doing workouts in the summertime. We were running like 100-yard sprints or whatever. And for some, there's guys kind of in my way at the finish, and I kind of had to slow down the last couple yards, kind of here and there. And Shelton said, "Hey, man, my nickname is the Bull." They said, "Hey, Bull, man, you better cross that line now." And it was just that's something that's never been told for me, but they had guys in my way, but he said, "You better finish that thing full speed." And so the guy that you didn't really know of at the time ended up being our Mike linebacker, was holding people accountable. And so that's kind of the way our whole team was. And you see guys that have made the Hall of Fame with Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks, and John Lynch is on the cusp of it, and Rondé Barber will have a chance at it.
Yep.
And then Simeon Rice, he should have a chance at it. And then, I mean, there are just so many great players on that team. And if you're going to win an NBA title, if you're going to win a national championship in college like LSU did this year, you're going to have 16 guys go to the combines and go pro. If you're going to, in the NFL, if you're going to win a Super Bowl, you're going to have guys make Hall of Fame and all pro. You have to have those kind of guys and those kind of coaches too. We had coaches, obviously Gruden. Then you had Mike Tomlin as Pittsburgh now won a Super Bowl. You had Rod Marinelli would go and be a head coach.
Damn. Wasn't Herm Edwards on that staff?
No, he left.
He left
like 2 years before. But we had 4 or 5 coaches that went on to be coordinators in college or pro, and then we had 3 or 4 coaches that went on to be head coaches too. Yeah. So it takes that kind of accountability, that kind of talent, and then you got to be lucky and good at the same time where it all happens. So that's kind of what happened with those with that time.
Let's say that Mike Allstott and Booger McFarland meet in the hole, 1 yard line. Who wins that battle?
Well, if Booger's going to hear this, I said Booger.
Oh, man, come on. I need a little juice to throw Booger's away. I'm just going to lie and say that you said Mike Allstott would win.
Brad Johnson's joining us here, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
How badass of a nickname is that for a quarterback?
That's great. So you're an offensive guy, obviously. Coach O's got the reputation of being one of the best recruiters in college football, but he's a defensive-minded guy. What was that relationship like in recruiting, and how's that work now?
We hit it off day one. We just obviously we've been around coaches our whole life. Our kids have too, and it's just kind of a connection right when it happened, And I mean, Coach O will tell you that's where you're going to sleep, and this is where you're going to eat, this is where you're going to train, this is where you're going to develop, and that's where you're going to shine on Saturday night. I mean, so you feel good about it, but you feel good about the choices and who he's going to bring in as coaches, the kind of kids that he's going to recruit, and give you a chance to play on the national stage. And so we just felt very comfortable with Coach O from the get-go, and it's been over about a 2-year process. And so we'd been to a bunch of games, we'd been down there quite a bit. Coach Ensminger had visited up here a bunch to watch Max practice and do all that kind of stuff. So we just felt very comfortable with all the coaches and where kind of the direction of where the whole program was headed with Coach O.
What did you think of Joe Burrow's season and LSU's offensive season as a former quarterback and an offensive-minded guy?
I thought his junior year, I thought he played awesome his junior year.
Oh.
I mean, I really did. And sometimes people just look at the stats.
Yeah.
And they go by stats. But I'm like, dude, the guy's a killer. And sometimes they did, sometimes, you may have a running back. Like if you take Troy Aikman, well, Emmitt Smith got all the runs inside the 3-yard line for all the touchdowns. So Troy didn't get all the touchdown passes, and so people just look at those kind of things. But I thought he was a killer. He was a winner. I knew the coaches. I knew the players. They believed in him. And then you saw what happened in the Texas A&M game where they went to, 6 overtimes.
Yeah, seven overtimes.
Yeah, you got to see Joe's greatness, and then you got to see his greatness in the Fiesta Bowl against Central Florida. Then this past year, obviously they changed the schemes of some stuff that was going on offensively, but they had great players too. They had great coaches, and they put it all together. But I thought Joe was just, he's accurate. He knows where he wants to go with the ball. He's tough, and most importantly, guys believe in him, and the coaches believe in him. And then if Joe threw an interception, I go back to the Texas game they played this year. There was an interception early in the game inside his own, backed up in his own territory. It wasn't really his fault either. He got hit or got tipped.
He got tipped.
It's Joe threw an interception. Well, no, it was just things that happened around him, but the team didn't panic. And they just played through it. He played through it, and he saw his greatness in the fourth quarter with some of the passes that he made, especially the 3rd and 15 play. And people, they followed him. And but I think Joe played great as a junior year, just didn't get the stat. The senior year, you saw the greatness come out.
I mean, I have a million questions I could ask you. I guess I'll go here next because you alluded to Burrow's toughness, and I think about my old man. I think about you and just like kind of the reputations for toughness, and it's something that's maybe overlooked at quarterback now and then. With your son Max, how much value do you put in being tough at that position?
Yeah, I mean, you always. I tell Max, I tell everybody. I said the difference between a slap on the face and a pat on the back is 6 inches. So that, I mean, dude, I'm telling you, you throw a pick, they're coming at you. You throw a touchdown, you're the greatest thing that ever happened, and you have to be consistent. It can't be just a rah-rah guy. At some points, you got to raise your voice, but you got to be. I think a leader is one that can do his job well from the get-go, and then people follow, and then you get the right to say whatever you want to say. But you got to earn it through the weight room, through the classroom time, through the practice sessions, through the training camp, through the season. And playing quarterback, it's going to be tough. You're not going to complete every pass. You're not. You know what I mean? People. I mean, it's not good enough. I remember, Joe Burrow just threw 60 touchdowns this past year and won a national championship. And they're trying to compare him to other guys that might be better than him or had better years. I'm like, are you serious right now? he just went undefeated, dude. So give the greatness, but toughness is, I think, just being mentally tough and coming to work every day and just doing the grind. And you think of a guy like Tom Brady. You can't say that here's a great, unbelievable throw. Here's a great, unbelievable pass. You think, you know what? His greatness is he does it consistently every stinking day. And you watch it over time and you stack bricks, and that's what really happens to guys that have longevity. They're tough, mentally tough, and they don't get fazed by the little things.
Well, and Brad, that's exactly where I was going next. I don't know how much you keep up with Tampa now, but what was your reaction to Tom Brady joining the Bucs and the weapons that they have?
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting times, man. I mean, I remember when Gruden came to Tampa. I mean, the flag was raised. Now, I mean, you just felt the energy in the town immediately, and then the same thing with Tom coming to Tampa. You never thought he'd get out of New England, being there for 20 years, whatever it is, and he just brings instant credibility. He'll bring instant credibility to the coaching staff and to the facility and to the building, and then. Obviously, there's got to be a transition where they grow together, and it's going to hurt with this, not having all the OTAs and the meetings that take place with this virus that's taking place. But Tom is going to bring accountability. He's going to give you a chance to win every game. Doesn't turn the ball over. He's very accurate. Plays great in the clutch, and he gives your team a chance to win each week. And so it's going to be fun to see what Tampa does this next year and the next 2 years.
Brad, we could do this for 2 hours.
I know.
Seriously.
I'm sorry.
I got 1,000 questions. We're going to let you go, but I want to do this again. I'm going to text you and see if we can't set this up again soon. Thank you for this morning. South Louisiana and LSU football seems to be in love with your son. We're looking forward to seeing you at games down the line.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We're excited to be. It's 596 miles for us to drive.
But who's counting, right?
and so we're excited about it. We're in full tilt, and we love being a part of the LSU family program, and just excited for the future.
We'll be in touch. Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yes,
You got it.
sir.
There he is, Brad Johnson.